Hey, what's going on, everyone? In this video, I want to show you guys and do a little recap of a trade I just took. So today is April the 14th. I went long on the NASDAQ 100 in the, after hours session here, I guess we could say. It's currently 6:23 Pacific Standard Time. I want to show you guys the setup. So I've got a few supply and demand levels marked out here, some key levels that I've been looking at. Now, one of these areas is today's low. Okay, so today's low from today's session kind of came down in this area, found a little bit of support, kind of bounced around here, reclaimed, and then we kind of pushed higher, right? Ultimately putting in a lower high on the day in the New York session. But if I zoom out just a little bit, I want to show you guys exactly where we kind of bounced to. If you look at a couple of these swing lows from the overnight session here and here, essentially we kind of bounced into this range, right? So if I was to, look at this low and this low and this low, each time we kind of found support in this range, I could, make a case that this range here had some buyers, right? And if you have a range that previously has some buyers, it's going to act as resistance in the future if you do break down through that level. So what I was looking at here was today we washed out and we kind of touched Friday's highs. Friday's highs is over here. We marked out these lows from today, and we had a bit of a choppy period here through that lunch hour and kind of coming out of lunch. But in the overnight, or in this after hour session right now, okay, in this after hour session, what I'm looking at is immediately after the market closed, you had a little bit of a low. Okay, then the Asian session opens, you have this double bottom. So what I'm looking at here is if this green box is my demand zone, okay, everything inside here is a demand zone, then essentially if I get another retest of this area, I want to be long coming out. Okay, I want to be long coming out. And in this environment, I can throw on one micro contract. I could put a dead stop underneath this low. I can put a dead stop underneath this low or this low. And as long as I'm trading above this range, I just essentially need to ride this higher, right? An area of resistance that I just targeted where I took profits off was right in this area here. Okay. And the reason being is if I look at today's price action and I look at when we were trading around this zone, we had a clear area of resistance here prior where not only did we stop a few times before breaking through, but on the back pedal, right? We also stopped here and we chopped around for a little bit. So this is a key area here. Now, what I was looking for was to sell into that kind of resistance zone. Again, it was about 85 points. Nothing much, guys. It was, $180, $190 or whatever. I posted it up in the Discord for you guys to kind of see, when I got out of that trade. But ultimately, what we want to be doing is we want to be looking for these back tests in these zones, okay, off these key levels, and we want to be going long out of them. If you do continue to kind of put in these lower highs, right? We put in these lower highs, eventually you're going to get to a point where it's going to break down the bottom of this range. And that's when you're going to look to go short. You want to get that break, you want to get a retest, and then you want to get the confirmation, and you're going to want to ride that into the next zone. Basic technical analysis 101. So just kind of wanted to recap that trade here. The reason why, and I'll zoom in here, the reason why I got long in this move is what I was looking at the New York session close, right after New York market close today. We kind of dipped into this zone. We bounced up. We have the Asian session kind of selling off a little bit. We kind of tagged this area again and we put in a higher low. So automatically my stop loss is going to go anything below that. I'm going to get long off this range. I'm going to ride it as long as we're staying above this zone. I want to hold. And then I want to sell where my heart is, where my heart desires, right? Again, profit is profit. I would love to kind of hold this completely overnight to see if we can retest this swing high from today. But truthfully speaking, I don't do the best trading overnight where I have positions running. I just like to, kind of monitor them when, I'm still actively looking at the charts and I can kind of close these out. Even though I do have a stop loss, I don't want this to kind of backpedal on me 100 points and go to break even. That'd be the worst, possible case scenario, is to see a position in your favor 85 plus points and then to look back at the position hours later and see that it is break even or even red. One thing that I'm going to be keeping in watch going into tomorrow is this daily 20. So I really have a keen interest on seeing if this market can break over 19,188. That's my daily 20. I want to see if we can get over that. If we can get over that, I do expect us to push up into this next zone. I want to kind of zoom out here and show you guys a 30-minute view. And I want to go back to this most recent high here that we had from last Wednesday. That area ultimately is an area that I would like to see broken some point this week. Again, we do have a short trading week, so if we can get this break and hold and break and retest over the zone, I fully expect us to start trading up over 19,300s into 19,840s. That would be the next potential target that I'm looking for. Again, if this market is not going to break the daily 20 and close above it and ultimately get over Wednesday's highs, then what I would be looking for here between today and tomorrow is, maybe a push up into the daily 20 once more and then a rejection. And if I can get a rejection off this zone where, we're showing no visible signs of actually closing above this daily 20 and getting over 19,300s, this is going to be a short opportunity to kind of play this back into the middle of the range. But ultimately, I want you guys to be very careful because this range here is essentially going sideways. So we could be starting a little bit of a distribution where we kind of trade to the bottom of the range and then it trades to the top of the range, back down. Can kind of do this for a couple of days until we realistically break down below 18,720. And before we get out of 18,310, be very, very cautious, okay? We can definitely play bounces and we can definitely play these range-bound trades, this channel trading here. But I want to make sure that, we're buying as close to demand as possible so that way we have an easy out if we do break down. And I want to make sure that I'm shorting as close to the top of supply as possible until we break and close over that. Again, all bets are off on the short positions. If we do break and close over 310, back test and hold this zone, I'm fully expecting that to go higher into 19,800. So definitely something that you want to keep in mind. If you guys want to join the 30-day mentorship bootcamp where we're going over these levels and we're trading live and you can jump on that voice call with us, definitely join Evolution Traders Bootcamp. That link is down in the description box below. I've got 12 spots or 11 spots left. I'm looking to fill the room of 15 traders every 30-day rolling period. If you are looking to maybe get a little bit of extra help, again, some of the people that have joined already today, they've been involved in 2 classes, and they said it was great, right? They said it was great. It really helps to kind of hear the analysis in real time, and not only to take winning trades, but take losing trades. My second trade of the day was a loser. I lost about $200 on that second trade, but quickly realized that the technical reason for me to be in that trade was broken, right? So I couldn't just sit there and hold a losing trade. I had to quickly get out of that trade, but threw up another indicator on my chart and quickly realized that my original short bias for today was correct. Got into the short and we rode that short for about $600, $700. And it turned out to be a positive day for us. I think I did close to $880 profit. That's including taking about a $230, $240 loss. So all in all, guys, you're not going to win every trade. But the key here is to try to keep our winning days bigger than our losing days. Okay. And one of the biggest, problems that I see a lot of traders have is, they've got a lot of winning days of $100 and $200, but there's bigger losing days in there, $500, $600, $700, even $1,000. And when we're operating on a negative R to R on a day-to-day basis like that, it's kind of hard to pull ourselves up out of the mud. I really like when our average winning day is equal to or greater than our average losing day. And again, one way that I'm really limiting my downside risk on a lot of these moves is by trading 1, 2, or 3 micro contracts. One thing that is also helping me a lot lately is when I do get into a position and the position does start to move in my favor, I am adding into that position. So a lot of times traders will get into a position and they will snatch profits very quickly. Okay. And then they'll kind of watch the move continue to go in their favor. And then they're looking for additional setups. What I'm basically doing right now is dipping my toe into the water with 1 or 2 micros. allowing that trade to kind of sort itself out. And as it starts to move in my favor, and I'm getting that technical, confirmation that the trade is starting to work out, I am quickly adding into that position another 2, 3, 4 contracts, and really allowing that winner to run a little bit more than what I was doing previously, months ago, which was going in with a lot more aggressive size 1, 2, 3 mini contracts, grabbing a quick 5 points, grabbing a quick 10 points, and then getting out of the move altogether, and then having to look for something else, right? Because the problem that I was kind of running into was, my winning days were great, and I would make it to a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks. I would take one payout, and then the next thing that would happen is I would run into a big losing day because my risk to reward was very heavily skewed to the negative side, where I might end up losing that funded account, and then I would have to kind of load in another account and restart all over again. So with that being said, operating, with a much larger stop loss and a much larger take profit is really been beneficial to me in terms of my P&L. And it's really been beneficial to me in terms of my mental equity. And we all know, guys, that, trading psychology and emotions and the stress levels is probably more important than how much you're going to make, right? Like if you make $1,000 today, but you were in drawdown 1,500 and you had to take, 2 dozen trades to get you back up to positive, that's a stressful day. But if you take 1 or 2 trades and you make $400, you make $500, and essentially you had no stress because the position size that you were trading was so minimal that even when you were allowing this trade to dance around and to wiggle and to work out and to see if it was going to actually, pay, the drawdown is something you can stomach because, for every, losing trade that you take, you're only one winning trade away from being net positive again. So these are the levels that I have on my chart. You guys can kind of look at them. I got supply at 19,310. I've got demand at 18,720. That's the range that we're in right now. We're in about a 500 point range. Until we break either one of those sides, we kind of want to be buying off the demand. We want to be selling towards the middle of the range. We want to be shorting closer to the top of supply. Again, we can even start looking for short positions if we get rejected at our daily 20 again at about 19,190. That's going to be an area of significance. It's right here. Again, it's just shy of today's highs, and it's just a little bit shy of last week's ultimate price level that I would like to see get confirmed, which was Wednesday's highs. I mean, this essentially is going to give me the green light to put a bunch of risk on, especially for my options and equities trading, is to kind of get long through here to play, for a continuation push higher. Now, again, we're looking at a 30-minute chart. We're looking at 1, 2, 3, 4 days worth of data. I can zoom out just a little bit more so we can see some more structure in some of these other areas of interest that I have. Again, if we do start to lose 720, fully expect us to come down to 18,200s, 18,300s. And again, I would expect the same kind of song and dance here, maybe put in a dead cat bounce. And then if it fails to reclaim 720s, then we could be trading down towards 17,000 again. So ultimately, we are holding a pretty decent uptrend here. Bulls are doing, somewhat of a decent job trying to, get this market back into the road of recovery. And again, we have to stay really patient. Also, I'll throw this out there, guys. I've been having a lot more success sitting out 30 minutes, 45 minutes, an hour even, and just allowing the structure to build and allowing me to be able to see the levels that are being confirmed and the levels that are being rejected. A lot of times it's great to catch that big trade, in the first 5 minutes of the market, in the first 10 minutes of the market open. But a lot of the time we're gambling because that trade is pure momentum. We're hoping that it's going to pay us before it stops us out, right? We don't really have any structure to go off of unless you're kind of looking at just shorting an overnight low or high. But even then, there's always those opportunities for your position to get trapped, to see a quick reversal. So it's almost better to kind of watch pre-market highs and lows get broken and then get retested, right? I'm a big fan of the break, retest, and go model. So again, when you're kind of thinking about each individual levels, let's look at the situation that even on for my long position now in the after hours, we had a little bit of a breakdown today, right? We had a little bit of a breakdown through Friday's lows, a little bit of a break and then a little bit of a hold, right? And once we popped out of that, and then we had a retest. So we put in a low, we bounced, we retested that whole area here, and this is showing that it's a good area, some good strength here to kind of take a little bit of a trade higher. And even though these candlesticks doesn't look like it moved all that much, and even though we are putting in lower highs, this here is a 75, 85 point move bounce here. So very, very good to kind of see that, hey, you don't need to catch all of this. You don't need to catch this whole entire bounce. We can still take a little piece of the pie and kind of keep chipping away at those payouts and keep chipping away at those evaluations to get those things passed. So again, one thing that I will watch going into tomorrow is if we continue to put in lower highs, okay, if we pull back again and we put in another lower high and we start to lose 18,720 come tomorrow morning, I will look for a retest in this zone, I will look for a rejection, and I will look for a short coming back out of that zone. Hopefully we don't lose the 18,720 too bad tonight. I don't really want to see us trade down towards 18,270 because I would really like to capture a lot of the upside movement on these particular bounces in my personal account for equities and options. But hey, for futures trading, we can go long and we can go short. Again, I could definitely buy put options as well, but I think there's a lot more opportunity to try to catch a bounce if the market wants to get going a little bit. Again, this is about 2.5 months now that we have been pretty much sell-sided bias. So especially for the last week, it has been good to see some upside in the market. Just hoping that we can hold. This video is a little bit long-winded, so I will see all of you guys on the next video. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, guys. I'm trying to get to 10,000 subscribers. I would highly appreciate it if you can hit the like button, the thumbs up button, share the video, comment on the video, join the Discord, join the community, come trade with us each and every single day, and hopefully we can get something going together so we can all start making a lot more money this year. And with that being said, I'll catch you guys on the next one.